If you love Hytera and you want to find out more about two of the most affordable radios on the market, then stay tuned because I'm going to be talking about the HYT TC-620 and 610. I'm also going to be speaking about all the different possibilities of how you can charge your radio and also all the accessories that are available with these two radios. So as already mentioned, I'm going to be talking about the HYT TC-610 and 620 made by Hytera. Now, they are both very similar in design and the possible features that can be programmed into each radio. But first, I'm going to be talking about the physical attributes. So first, when we look on the left hand side of the radios, you can see they both have the push to talk button and they both have two available feature buttons. And then if we move on to the right hand side, you can see that they both have this little flap that actually pulls back on both of the radios, and that is the accessory connector. You can also use a programming cable into this same connector. So on top of both of the radios, the TC-620 and the TC-610, that they both have the stubby antennas. They both have the channel selector switch, which is indicated in the middle, and they both have the on and off switch, which is also in the same place. Both the TC-620 and the TC-610 stand at 117mm tall, and they also have a width of 54mm. So when we look at the back of the radios, the first thing we notice is the two screws here, and these actually hold the belt clip onto the radio itself. This is a much more robust and reliable way to have your belt clip attached to your radio, and I'll explain why. If we have a GP340 that just here like that, you can see that there aren't any screws. But if you do break a belt clip on the TCs, then it is very easy to just replace it. You unscrew the screws and you can just easily replace it with a new belt clip. Whereas on the GP340, if you do break the belt clip, you can replace the belt clip without having to replace the battery. But if you do break the roller that is inside there, where my finger is, you will have to buy a brand new battery, which is obviously a lot more expensive than having to just replace the belt clips on their own. A nice little fact that comes with the TCs is one type of test that they went through. Now, they both went through a test of temperature control, and they were both put in conditions of -30°C and +60°C, which is very extreme conditions, and they just go to show how durable they really are. So now let's move on to the features. When you buy your TC-610 or TC-620, you will be wanting some features to go along with the way you work. Now, both of these radios have the same features available, and that is the timeout feature, channel scanning, and Vox capabilities. But first, I'm going to talk about Vox. Vox allows you to activate your audio through just speaking. You don't have to press a PTT button. You can simply speak and your information will be sent over to your fleet without having to press any buttons. This can be really useful in a security job, or if on a construction site and you need to use your hands all the time, or even if you're in schools. You can use them pretty much anywhere, and it is such a good effect. The next feature I'm going to be talking about is the timeout feature. And the timeout feature is very complex when gone into a lot of detail, so I don't have enough time to talk about it in this one video. But just to put it short, if you are holding your PTT button down for too long, the timeout feature electronically stops any audio transmissions being sent from your radio to another radio. Now I'm going to talk about some accessories that can be connected to your radio. So I've got 3 remote speakers and 3 different type of earpieces that can be plugged in to your radio. But first I'm going to talk about the remote speakers. So as you can see, I have 3 different types of remote speakers available for the TC-620 and the TC-610. Now, as you can see by these two, these have the HYT symbol on it, which means that they are designed specifically for these two radios. So this remote speaker is known as the SM26M1. And as you can see, it's got a very small, compact design, and all it really has to it is this pushable button here, which is the push to talk button. As well as the push to talk button that is located on the left side here, very big, so it's easy to locate. You do also have on the other side another flap that can be plugged in to a earpiece. Now an earpiece can go into that, and then you can actually obviously wrap it around your ear, and then you can hear the audio that is being received straight into your ear. It's not going to come out through your radio. So as you can see at the back, there is a clip which just clips onto your collar, or it can clip onto a top pocket or anywhere that's relevant for you. Now I would have this down on my waist just like that, and then I can easily access the push to talk button and then send out my audio. The second remote speaker I'm going to be talking about is the SM08M3. Now as you can see, it's got another clip that goes on at the back, and it also has the HYT series logo on it. All this really does is it's a push to talk remote speaker. So it has the button on the side, which is there, and it doesn't really do much more than that. You can't plug in an extra accessory into it like an earpiece. Again, as you can see, it fits very well onto my shoulder or my collar, and it's not in the way. Even if I'm moving around like this, it's not going to be in the way of my sight or in the way of my chin, and it just fits very nice and comfortably. The final remote speaker I'm going to be talking about is the SM13M1, which as you can see has the HYT logo on the top. So it is designed specifically for the TC-610 and 620. There are a lot more features that go onto this one remote speaker compared to the others. So the first one is the PTT button, which is on pretty much every remote speaker that you can get. The second one is the volume control switch that is located at the top. Now as you can see, it goes back and forth just like that, and that is volume down, and then now that is volume up, so you can control how loud the volume comes out of your radio. The third one is the programmable button, which is at the bottom of the PTT button. Now this is great when you're wanting that extra feature for your device. And the final thing is the accessory connector, which is just underneath this flap here. When you have a compatible earpiece, you can plug this in to there, and then you can have your audio going straight in to your ear. So just as an example, I have my TC-610 here, and then I also have it connected to my remote speaker that is connected there, and then from my remote speaker I have another connecting point which runs an earpiece through and over my ear and then right into my ear. This means that any audio that would usually come through the radio is now straight into my ear, which is great for security. If you're passing on sensitive information, or if you don't really want anyone to hear what you're talking about, or if it's just easier in general to have your audio straight into your ear, you can use one of these connected to your remote speaker, which again you can use to talk to other people, and then you can have it plugged in to your radio. So I've shown an example of an earpiece that can connect straight into your remote speaker, but here I have two other earpieces which actually connect straight into your radio. So it has a different connecting point, which I'll show you in a second, but it also has some other features which make it just as easy to use as a remote speaker. So as you can see, these earpieces have the same connector as the remote speakers, and they connect straight into your radio. There's the 3.5 and the 2.5mm jack that goes straight into your TC-610 or 620. The first earpiece I'm going to talk about is the D-shaped earpiece. As you can see by the way it's sat on my ear, it is not going anywhere. The clip itself goes right around your ear and your lobe, and it's just not going to fall off. I think it's an impossibility. So along with its elegant design to make sure it stays on your ear, we also have this little point here, and you can see on the top it has the PTT button, and then right on the side it has another switch which can switch from Vox to PTT. So you can slide it all the way right and it will be on the PTT. So therefore, if you're going to be transmitting your audio, you have to press the button while talking. Or you can switch it back to Vox, and then it is now on voice activation capabilities, which means that you can just speak and it will transmit your audio without having to press a button. Now let's talk about this earpiece. This earpiece, as you can see, has got its transparent tube, which this actually goes around your ear, and then this goes into your eardrum. That means that any audio that's being sent to you will be easily heard straight into your ear. This connector is the same as the other remote speakers we was looking at and the other earpiece as well. It goes straight into your radio. It's the 2.5 and 3.5mm jack, so it goes straight into your radio, meaning that you don't have to, and you can't connect it to a remote speaker. That's because you don't need to. As you can see, we have this switch here which actually switches from either Vox or PTT. Now you've got your PTT button on the side here, which means that you can use that to talk, or you can just simply switch that up onto Vox and then your voice will activate your audio frequency. So to quickly summarize all the accessories that we've spoken about, because they were a few, we have the 3 remote speakers and we have the 3 earpieces as well. The remote speakers are great when you're just wanting to talk without having to use the radio itself, and they connect straight into the radio. Or like the IP55, you can use it with a compatible earpiece which has a 3.5mm jack which actually gets plugged in to the side. Or you can scrap that idea and you can use a earpiece, which is also very, very good. Now they, as already mentioned, do plug straight in to the radio itself, and they do have a few features added to them, but they are great for any security role or if you're working on a nightclub as a supervisor. When you buy your TC-610 or TC-620, you will be needing to buy a charger. Now we have a few different possibilities here of how you can charge your radios, but first I'm going to start off with a single pod charger. If you're buying for the first time and you're only getting 2 radios, I would suggest buying 2 of these pods. Now the pods are pretty easy to use. You only can fit 1 in, obviously, and you just simply connect this into the back here like that, and you plug that into your socket, and then you're ready to go. A single pod charger can be useful when buying 2 radios for the first time, or it can be useful when you're adding to an existing fleet while using one of these, which is a spider charger. Having a spider charger can have its uses, but it also has some negative points as well. If you find yourself having 4 individual pod chargers and they're all connected to 4 singular sockets, that can be a waste. You're using 4 sockets that you don't need to use them all. But with this, you can plug in one just like that, another one like this, and you can keep adding to them just like that. You can have up to 6 chargers in one go. The only problem is it does take up a lot of room. As you can see, they spread out quite far from each other, which can, take up a lot of room. You need to have a table really to put one of these on. If you are on a budget, then the spider charger is the one for you. But if you have a little bit more money in your budget, then I'm going to talk about 2 alternatives that you can use to charge your TC-610 and 620. The first alternative we're going to be talking about is the Hytera 6-unit charger. Now, even if you're buying 3 or 4 radios in one go and it is the first of your fleet, then we would recommend this 6-unit charger, just because in the long run it is going to be cheaper than buying, let's say, 3 chargers for your 3 radios, but then in the future you're going to be buying 3 more, and then you're going to have to just buy the pods again, which is just a waste of money. If you're going to be buying 3 radios and you're planning on adding to your fleet in the future, then we would recommend the 6-unit charger. A nice little feature that does come with the 6-unit charger are these 2 holes here. This means that you can screw in onto your wall a couple of screws, and then you can actually hang this unit in one go onto your wall. Even if you don't want to mount it on a wall, as you can see here, it's not incredibly big and it doesn't take up a lot of room, so it's easily stored on a shelf or on top of a unit or even just on a table. The next thing we're going to talk about is this rack charger. This is actually made by us, and it is a great tool on using your pods that you might have already bought and putting them into one space so that you can charge from one source. So let's say you have 4 individual pod chargers, but you're wanting to buy another, let's say 2 radios, so you've got 6 altogether, but you've already bought and put the money into the individual pod chargers, and you don't actually want to spend the money on a 6-way unit, then we would recommend our Radiotronics rack charger, because let's say we put your first 4 on, there you go, Then after that, you can then just attach simply there, and the next one there. And then all your radios in one place. They're not going to go anywhere. These will be attached down. They're not going to be, portable like this, because they need to be connected from the back into the power source. So to summarise, if you're wanting to buy a brand new fleet of radios and you're wanting to put them all into one specific charger, into one power source, then we recommend the Hytera 6-unit charger. Although, if you're looking just to buy a couple of radios, and you know for a fact you're not going to be buying any more in the future, then just buy a couple of the pod chargers. If you already have a load of pod chargers into loads of different sources, we would definitely recommend either the Spider charger, which is a more affordable way of putting them all into one group and keeping them together into one power source, or we would recommend the more robust and reliable version of a 6-way charger, the Radiotronics rack charger. The final thing I'm going to be talking about in this video is this repeater, the Hytera RD625. Now, I don't have enough time to go through everything that it can possibly do and all the features that it can hold. I really don't have time. I wish I did, but it has so much to it that it would take its own separate video to just talk about this one repeater. But just to put it in short, we're going to use this as just a little example. These aren't exact representations of these radios or this repeater. But if this radio can only transmit a signal 1 mile maximum, and this can also do the same, if they are not close enough together, they won't be able to receive and transmit signals to each other. But if you put a repeater in the middle of them both, through that 2 mile span, it will actually transmit your signal from this radio to the repeater to then the next radio, which is great. It's to boost your signal even further. If you enjoyed anything in the video today, then please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel to find out about any news or any more videos that are coming out in the future. And don't forget to click the little bell icon, which will make sure that it notifies you on our new videos.